English. It's Pentecost Sunday, and speaking in tongues that I can't do, but I can try in English. And I could try Hasa Diga Ibowe. Perhaps you understand that. I don't know. There are some people that know that. Okay. I'm here to talk to you about what happened to me. It's an unusual thing that such things happen in Europe nowadays, and I will try to explain to you and how can we do something out of that and for the secular movement for Europe, etc. I have to tell you about me a little bit, then about the secular organization I am part of in Switzerland, and then what happened with my role as a teacher. Leo talked like a teacher. I can't talk like a teacher because I am a teacher, so don't feel talked down on. I was brought up as a Catholic, and then I came to the age of reason, and now I'm atheist, secularist, humanist, etc. An interesting thing, when I got the letter of confirmation that I left the church. Before that, I had a talk with the priest, and I failed. I didn't convince him to join atheism or to come to our side. And after that, in my letter, there was mentioned, it is our sincere hope that this moment of confusion may pass. So that's in Switzerland, the Catholic Church. It's quite interesting. I have been accused of being a fundamentalist, human rights fundamentalist, etc. And I always try to put the fun in fundamentalist and the humor and not take myself too seriously. You have to take serious what I do, but I don't take myself too seriously. I think in Europe, at least, where my life wasn't threatened, etc., and it's a good tool to use humor and that thing. Yes. The Freethinkers Association of Switzerland is quite old. We were founded in 1908. We are humanists, secularists, atheists, agnostics. We have even Christians among our members that are for the separation of church and state. We have sections in different cantons. We also do rituals, secular rituals, as an alternative to the religious ones. We also do political work, but we are strictly non-partisan. We are not on one party. Obviously, there aren't a lot of Christian conservative party members in our group, but we have liberals, we have leftists, we have Greens, etc. So we are really open and try to do that. Then we founded in Valais, that's in the southern part of Switzerland, we founded a new section, Wallis, in 2010. The main goals, transparency in church tax or church financing. It's really a scandal in Valais, what's set up for a system there. Religion in state schools is a disgrace in much of the state schools, and we wanted to offer to the atheists or non-believers in Valais a feeling of, if you are not believing, you are not alone, like meetings, etc., and rituals, etc. And we had the speaker, Beda Stadler, for example. Some of you know him. He's not everyone likes him, rationalist, and it made a little bit of a fuss that we founded that there. It's really black, it's really conservative there, Catholicism is rampant, and In my function as the president of this new section, I sent a letter to the Dienststelle für Unterrichtswesen, that's the education bureau, some sort of that. And I told them that I wanted to have a discussion, I wanted to ask them some things about the situation in Valais. And I told them always that I am there as a president, not as a teacher, as a citizen, in fact, not in my function as a teacher at a state school. I have to explain to you that we have a Bundesgerichtsentscheid, that's the federal court in Switzerland. We have this decision there from 1990 that said crucifixes in the classroom do not conform to religious neutrality. This does not fit together. And at the latest, if someone says that is not according to my taste, I don't want it, they don't have to make a fuss about it, but they have to take it away. Me, myself, I had done this task in 2009 already. So I did take down my cross long before these things happened. This talk, we spoke about a whole lot of things, also rituals that take place in primary school. For example, First Communion, etc. They are prepared during usual hours. Even lessons of mathematics, they are skipped to prepare those rituals. If you are Protestant, if you are whatever, or if you are a child of Protestant parents, if you're a child of non-believers or whatever, you feel like an outsider. And in these problems, they always said, well, it's not really a problem, it's only 5%, no one has ever asked that. All the same, I just asked you this question, but they told me no one has ever asked that. I asked them about the crucifix situation and if the school boards or the directors would be aware of this court decision, and they said to me, no worries, they will do the right thing, they will not make a fuss, they will act accordingly, etc. In Switzerland, you have to know it's really a really federally organized state system. There is a joke, how do you make babies in Switzerland? Well, that depends on what canton you live in. So there is a lot of autonomy in the canton. There is, for example, Geneva, it's hyper secular. There is no discrimination, there is no church tax, etc. It's really almost like USA and strict separation and à la française, like in France. In this talk, I learned two things. First, the project to make Kanton Wallis habitable for reasonable people will take a little bit more time than I thought. And the second one, there was a lawyer for this office. He was really unprofessional. For example, he told me, well, one knows that. If you don't like that, go work in the postal office. So the second thing I noticed was that you can get a law degree if the IQ is around the pulse addressed in number. So this person really made me not angry. I don't get angry. I'm stoic, etc. But really, it was on a such degree of incompetence, and he was a religious apologist there. He was not what he should have been. He was not professional. So that was really it made me a little bit sad. We have a law concerning the education from 1962. It's before the Second Vatican Council. It says school has to try to help the family and the parents to educate, etc. And we have to prepare the children for their life or for their task as human and Christian. It's a little bit funny. Over here you have the humans, there you have the Christians, but what's the meaning? In fact, I, as an atheist teacher, would have to get my, let's say, agnostic. I had a pupil that really was agnostic. He was from agnostic parents too. I would have to turn him into a Christian according to this law, and this law was the only thing that this person I don't really like always told me. Well, that's the reason why you have to go to the services. That's the reason why we have 30 services per year, religious services, Catholic services in this school. Yeah, this law we think is not in accordance to the human rights, that's obvious, but also to the decisions of the federal court and to the Constitution of Switzerland. So they might get a problem. They might have to change that. As a reaction to this talk with them, I wrote a letter to the direction. I said, I will not have a crucifix in where I have the other lessons too. I want you to take them out. I don't want to go to Mass anymore, so 0. And the third one was, I was a class teacher. I wouldn't name who is to be altar boy and altar girl and has to read the Mass, the Eucharist or whatever. So that was expected from me to name, you are going to be the altar girl. That's the situation I was in. Some secularists have told me that those things aren't that unreasonable. Then the board has sent me a nice letter. I was not in the right tone, and I have to put back up my crucifix, which never was there, etc. And those are the persons that put their signature there. And it's not only the school board, but also every president of the local region. So it was a kind of like a threat to me. They wanted to get me to shut up, and I'm not the type to shut up. That's a problem with me. And one signature is missing, that of the local priest. The local priest is also by default a member of the school board, but he didn't want to get his signature there because I don't know why. After that, I said no, I won't put up back my, not my cross, but not my crucifix. I want a beschwerdefähige Anordnung. So I want to write it. I want you to write down that I have to put it up. But they already did that. So that was just to be on the safe side. I did that, yeah, to be safe. Then we had an immediate dismissal on September 10th. They took a pretext. They said, like, there is no confidence in me anymore. All the same, before there was all talk about the crucifix and religion and blah, blah, blah. And then some lawyer, I imagine, told them, you can't tell that. You have to create a pretext. And so they did. It's one politician, his name is there, Egon Fuhrer, Christian conservative. It was an election year. I really think that he wanted to make an example out of this story, out of this idea. And yeah, it's a little bit ridiculous to get me fired without notice. There were alcoholics, there were people that really hit on, not hit on, but not like beat up, but they physically attacked children. They didn't get dismissed, and they didn't get dismissed without notice, so immediately. So that's really some kind of a real hypocrisy. So if you measure my being for the Constitution and freedom of speech and etc., and those people, what they did, I can read you what this Christian Conservative Party said after in the paper. They said, it can't be accepted that people that are teaching at our schools that are active in groups with extremist tendencies. It would be naive to think that a teacher with such a mindset wouldn't try to influence pupils entrusted to him with his ideas. This is about me. And after that, a journalist found out that one of the teachers that is now currently at the school in Stalden is a more or less open neo-Nazi, a misogynist. I can't tell you what he writes on Facebook because cunt might be bleeped. Yeah, now I said it. He really uses words like cunt, shut up, etc. He's a football hooligan. And it's really documented. He says, well, I'm not anymore. But he was one of the leaders of this local scene. And read it again. Read it again. I was for freedom and those things. And he is still at this school. It's no problem. That's I don't get angry, but that's really something. I think that's interesting. That's quite interesting. After that, the school board, they didn't imagine that I would. I think they did a little bit underestimate the influence or the impact that might have. I had a whole press coverage. I'm now the most hated or most infamous freethinker, I think, in Switzerland. I don't know, but I think so. And I was at the most important TV things in Switzerland altogether. That was a million viewer. And Switzerland isn't that big. So, yeah, compared to the size of Switzerland, it had an impact. some problems were perhaps that we did not always get our message across. We are for the separation of church and state. We are not against religion in the private life, etc., etc. But yeah, we had a lot of success there, and I think the religious people, the conservatives, they really shot in their own foot by getting me fired without notice. And that's what we have to do sometimes. We have to make them do such stupid things, but usually we don't have to make them. They do them by themselves. I was also named one of 7 or 9 persons to be the candidate of a Prix Courage, and that was really something that annoyed these conservatives really, really hard. So that was really great for me to get something back. I also got letters of Christian love, and for example here, my point is not that there are nutters out there. That's always the case. This one says, jump off the bridge, take rat poison, etc. And he has signed the parish he is going to. A journalist contacted the priest, said, isn't that a theme? Isn't that to be mentioned in the service? And he said, no, that's not for me. I won't do that. Just to say, next time they are on their high moral horse, I will remind them, you didn't say anything. That's your sheep there. That's your person. You should have done something. My mother had cancer at the time. Now she's in full remission, so she's healthy. I heard that's God's punishment for me being. So I know my life wasn't threatened. I take that always like there are nutters, but really you don't expect such things in the 21st century. There was a legal opinion by a really renowned professor. You can read it online. It's really great stuff for lawyers, etc. And the beautiful thing is, if there is a threat to the image of an institution, the correct thing to do is not to say the person that says something about it to shut up, but to fix the situation. So that's really the thing they should have done, and not fire the person that criticizes. We had a funny decision by the political side. It's a little bit too detailed perhaps, but I mention always Gray's law. Any sufficiently advanced incompetence is indistinguishable from malice. And on that level, it does not make a difference to me. I really, really did not understand some of the parts that are written there. If you can read, you can't write the things they did. So we really hope that in the higher courts they might get really a problem with being that unprofessional and that biased. So that's what we hope. There hasn't even been a decision by the cantonal court. We are not that optimistic. I think we might have to go to a federal court, but there we are very optimistic. I think we are not going to Brussels or something like that. It's already common in Switzerland that state schools have to be neutral, and we think that might get squashed on that level. We already had a lot of legal fees, so that's also an asymmetry. The Egon Führer, he takes it out of the pocket of the council or whatever. He will never pay 1 cent. It's Rappen in Switzerland, but he will never pay anything from his own purse. And I have to organize, I have to raise funds, I have to organize, etc. And also on a human level, they wanted me not to go to the graduation, and that was something also on my blog. That's the most read entry. They said to me that I can't join them on the most important day of one of my favorite classes that graduated that year. And this inhumane conduct, it really is a little bit not so great. It's in Switzerland they wanted to pass a law in cantonal parliament to make it obligatory to put crucifixes in every room as a reaction to this thing that happened to me. And that's not happened. They didn't vote yes because they knew that would be overturned from the Swiss court or that. So that it's a little bit more politics than law. The second thing, we had recently this decision, Italy versus Laizität. Our opinion as secularists is that it's a problem. That's not a good decision. The small chamber made the exact opposite. Unanimous that it is not religiously neutral to put crucifixes in state schools. And then the Great Chamber made the opposite, with the exception of 2 dissenters. There was a yes, okay, it's okay for Italy to put them up. And the strategy, I don't know if you know, but the strategy has been to say, well, the crucifix isn't really a religious sign, but it's more of kind of a cultural thing. And I always tell them, well, if it's only a cultural thing, we can play with it, we can turn it upside down, and there would be no outrage, and we can paint it green or put up a Kermit, the frog, on it. And to me, this is really it's really dishonest. It was really not okay to argue like that. So they have like not only a double think, they also have a double speak, etc. They try to get the best out of it. For my case, I think the Laizität case will not be a real problem. We will stay in Switzerland, I hope, but we never know. In Austria, also there has been a crucifix case. Perhaps some of you might know about it. It concerned kindergartens. So they also said it's kind of okay. It's not really a religious symbol, and I'm not sure if they are pursuing it farther. But I think the whole thing is about these cases. Europe should be secular, and we should be a beacon like. Not like the problem with the blasphemy law in Ireland is the same. We should not do those backwards things. We should be on the front. We should be progressive, and that's why we should fight that. I know this is not a life on stake, also in Austria, also in Italy. But if we are not on the front, if we don't try to do it right here, the others always point to Europe and say, well, they don't do it either. They don't separate church and state, etc. Yeah. So there is a lot of things to do for me in Valais. So I did say I'm not going to quit. I don't want asylum in a civilized canton, so I will not go away. You are stuck with me, dear politicians, dear lawyers, etc. there. So I will work on the church financing and these things. We had to pursue an exit from a church for more than a year. We had to help him exit the church because there was obstruction from the priest, etc. It's really like a sort of a puppet theater. It's like cabaret in Valais. For if you are the person that can laugh about it, it's really funny sometimes. What role do I, for example, have to play? That's also a thing that I ask myself. I'm not the martyr type. For one reason, I don't like to die. Martyrs have to die, and our secular movement has no martyrs. But I think I can make a difference. I can show them that you can't do that to people. They won't go away that easily, etc. So we hope that we might get something out of it, out of this whole thing. And yeah, it's not that easy because the lawsuit might be 2 more years perhaps or whatever. We don't really know that now. I just wanted to say that it is the fact that in Swiss politics, the religious also have a big lobby. So, like in Germany, like in other European countries, we are not a minority, but we are perceived as a minority because too little people speak up and stand up and say, we are going to vote secular. We are going to the voting booth. It is our task as a secular movement to make politicians comprehend that they don't always lose if they are for separation of church and state. I don't want a lot of people, a lot of politicians to affirm atheism or whatever, but at least we should get them not to fear to say, I am for the proper separation of church and state. In that respect, I think we are like a lobby organization. We have to change minds, we have to change attitudes in that respect. And this one is really the corpus delicti sive Christi. That's the actual thing. It's not in my possession, but it's the real thing. And I, to make a little bit of fun out of it, I always wonder how much will be the kilo price of this thing if they lose for this symbol, for this oddity. I mean, it's not about the symbol, it's about the principle that we don't indoctrinate our children. It should be neutral. There should not be such a fearsome or a fear-injecting symbol there. And yeah, we have to try to avoid to get too far off track and little things, but we have to stick to the main goal, separation of church and state. And my true conviction is that if we have a good ethics, a neutral Religionswissenschaft teaching about religion or whatever, I know that's difficult because in the end, at least in Valais, it will be the priest or a not neutral person that will do it. But ideally, if we get the children to be neutral, I always think it would be so good if they joined, if they couldn't join before 14 or whatever. That's my goal, that the schools will get, that religion goes out of it. To my personal situation, I am a teacher now, yet again, in Valais. I didn't go away. I did not get a full-time job, so it's part-time. I have to do lots of other things on the side, etc. So financially, it has not always been good, but I hope in the end that there will be some recompensation. And also, I have met so much interesting, beautiful minds and sharp and smart people during this whole ordeal that it's already worth it that they have done that. So I think that's the lesson we can learn. I am quite active on the social medias, etc. And if you are interested in details or for example, the legal opinion or so, you can go up there. The information, we try to put it out there as much as we can. We, the Swiss free thinkers in Switzerland, you really find them a lot. Those crosses on the mountains. It's not an act. It's a montage. It's not actual thing, but just. Sometimes we make fun of these things, and sometimes we have to be earnest. And I'm for both. We have to be taken seriously, but we don't have to take ourselves in this role always too seriously. I think it's more important if I listen to Taslima or Leo or so, that's a whole other story. But I think me as a European, my life isn't really threatened. So it comes across as like a grumpy, young, angry thing if I'm not at least a little bit relaxed. So that's a strategical consideration that I did there. I think in this secularism battle, we have to make them comprehend that we are not against their being religious, whatever. Ultimately, yeah, I would like that less people would be religious. But in this struggle, at first, we always have to say, and that's honest, on the political level, we are not against them believing, we are against them imposing their belief on us, on innocent children that have not a formed mind, etc. So that's also important. I'm speaking a little bit like an activist, but I am. So yeah, take that with you. Thank you very much.
very much. I came to Switzerland in 2004. I thought I was going to a liberal and secular country famous for human rights. But I shared your experience. I worked at 2 old people's homes, and I found that people were more concerned about my religion than my work. At one place, they banned me from walking into the office unless I start believing in their Christ and their Christianity. Second place, they offered me to convert to Christianity. I refused, and when I came back home, the windows of my apartment were broken. I think a lot of people have such experience. If you see the history, more than 3,500 women were burnt alive in Switzerland for refusing to be religious. Those were the medieval ages. The Inquisition never ended. It continues. And you are the new victim. And you have to be very careful. Thank you.
Well, just a remark on that. I have decided not to be a victim, so I'm fighting back. So that's not the role I chose. I think in the media I would have been more successful if I would have, cried a little bit more. But that's not the. I play a role. Yes, I am doing a shtick, but I will not be victimized. So yeah, that's. But victim in this air quotes. Yes. Thank you.
When you were dismissed without cause, where's your union in all of this? Aren't they helping you get some compensation for being fired for a job without reason? And the second thing that shocked me as a teacher myself is that how can your colleagues beat children and be alcoholic and still keep their jobs? Aren't there somewhere to report them? It would be impossible to get away with that in Denmark, certainly, even with the unions protecting people.
I am part of a union, but the upper level of money that they have to give me is also already exceeded. So free thinkers are raising money. That's the thing we are doing. And the second one, so that was before my time. It was 5 years ago. I think now they are more careful, but I know about alcoholics that did that. And I'm not talking about beating up a child, but really like a slap or really pinching hard, not real brutality, but things like that. And it gets a little bit covered up. And here they wanted to make an example out of it. And I think I will be the last one for decades or millennia or whatever to get fired in Switzerland like that, because they have learned now that was a real mistake. So the problem is really in Valais you have a political system. There is this CVP, CSP that are ruling in majority, and perhaps it's the cousin of the president, etc. It really is corruption, you could say that. So there are some ugly things in Valais. Valais is like the Bavaria of Switzerland, or like the Poland, or like the island of Switzerland. Oftentimes we are the laughingstock of Switzerland because they perceive us as backwards. But I know so much young people that are open there, progressive, etc. And that what's given me strength to stay there. I ask myself, who if not I, and when if not now, and I am going to stay and I'm not going away, and that's important to me. So I hope that these things, negligence and looking the other way, etc., I really think that will go away also in Valais. Yeah.
I'd like to know what was the reaction of your students and their parents, both in the short and the long term.
Yeah, it was the last lesson before school vacancies holiday in autumn. They took the key from me, like to a criminal. I had to sort my things out, always under surveillance. Always another person was there present. So like really like something criminal. The pupils I saw in private afterwards on the street, and I went to the graduation ceremony, and they some of them really they welcomed me. It was I didn't cry, but that was really great. So they said, well, that's not okay what happened to you. You were my favorite or second favorite, whatever, teacher, etc. And so I taught a lot of French, and they don't like French. So, but that's something. And if I might have 30 seconds too, there was the father of a pupil from me. He drove past me on the street, and then he saw me. We greeted each other. Then he backed up and took down the window, and I thought, I always thought that's the conservative type, and he took and then I said, oh, he will say something stupid again, and then he said, show them. That was not right what they did to you. Show them, and that's the things I like. So that's what I live for. That's what I really like when they react like that. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vielen Dank.